In the meantime, the host of Morning Glory, there's a text here from Danny from Dungog. Are the boys from Morning Glory back? Well, yes, they are, but it confirms such. Matty Johns is on the line. Hello, Matty.
Hello, boys. A big shout out to Danny from Dungog and the Dungog Dingoes bikie gang up there.
They're bad.
Are they?
Oh yeah. Troublesome.
Yeah, they're bad.
That's good.
Yeah,
Where is Dungog, by the way? It's east of Newcastle, isn't it? West of Newcastle.
Yeah, it is. It's about an hour from Cessnock. Actually, Dougie Walters come from Dungog. The great Doug Walters, cricketer.
Brian Johnston didn't he? The former Dragons CEO.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. There's been some decent sportsmen in around that area.
It's no Wagga, though. It's no Wagga.
No, it's no Wagga. It isn't. It's no Bankstown, of course, with War Brothers and whatnot. And, of course, it's no Bondi either, Brian. All those local juniors you're producing at the moment. It's just a wealth of talent.
Yeah. What about the great Richard Cram, surfer? He used to rip. Shane Horan, number 2 in the world, mind you.
Mate, I was watching the Performers 2 the other day. Do you remember? It's got the Noiseworks soundtrack. Richard Cram on that. I haven't heard that name for a long time, Richard Cram.
He had a great layback, drop your wallet, rooster tail.
Great header.
How are you so cultured in your albums and your music, Matty? Like, who's that come from, Mum or Dad?
I think Mum. Mum was a real good time Charlie. In our house, mate, we had always had Motown going. She was sick for Dinah Ross. The Pointer Sisters. Mum, mate, if you want a crazy night out, you know where Joey gets it from. It's from Gail.
Yeah.
Hey, Matthew, you were just mentioning before, you were saying, because you couldn't hear us, but you were just saying it's quite humid. Did you get out in your paddleboard today?
No, I didn't, Fletch. I didn't. I've got to say, Fletch, I don't know about you. I've been a little bit flat since I've come back from Vegas.
Very flat. Very flat.
I've woken up like I'm a guy that really doesn't suffer from any sort of anxiousness or, flat. You just get there and go, wow, I'm just not my jovial self. But, we'll do, Fletch, we'll put, just like when you come back from State of Origin, we'll put our hands in the middle and we'll get out there and we'll have a blinder.
And you have to have a shout-out tonight, Brian, to who?
Yes, so Vlad, my man, Matty, we'll make sure. So Vlad Kapanachu is a Ukrainian living in Chicago, who fell in love with rugby league. More importantly, he fell in love with Todd Carney in 2010. He was just sitting at home, and it came. He said, "I was watching the Six Nations, the rugby," and his words, not mine.
Yep.
He said in Ukrainian, "F me, how boring is this? How good is the NRL?"
So he fell in love with Todd Carney, fell in love with the Roosters.
Yes.
But over in Vegas, he fell out of love.
Yeah, for you, Matty.
No, with you.
No.
Oh, no.
He tried to come up
happened?
to you, and he said, in his strong Russian accent, he said, John's bodyguard took him to toilet, and John's completely ignored me. And I laughed. I said, that's his go, Vlad. And he goes, no. And then you, Fletch, and Heidi sneak out the door, out back.
So shout-out tonight goes to who?
To Vlad Kapanachu.
Coming at you.
Yes.
So let's give him So we Skyped him, Matty, and he's there. It's what was it, midnight or 1 a.m. in the morning?
Yeah.
And he's sitting there with his Roosters jersey on.
Wow.
He had a bison, a bison's head stuck on his wall.
Oh, boy.
And he's in construction. He looked like a really physical.
Mate,
and he's looking for a girl too.
It was an eclectic crowd over there in Vegas.
Oh, what it was.
I tell you what, Joel, it was amazing the people were into Americans that were into rugby league. I tell you, a ton of people from Canada, particularly Toronto, that are into the game. They got into the game during the Wolfpack years. And continued to flew to Vegas to watch the game. Yeah.
I wonder if that's an angle. Maybe next we go to Canada.
Yeah.
Let's go to Canada. Do a bit of skiing.
Yeah, well, do you remember? Well, back in the day, do you remember like Mark Harris? I think it might have been Mitch Brennan and a few of the Australian guys back then went over and played Canadian football.
Yeah.
Because of course, you got the NFL and you got the CFL, which is they play in a longer field, and the difference is, I think that they have the 4 or 5 downs, but it just moves a lot quicker. Basically, if the NFL have got 30 seconds to restart playing between downs, they've got about 15, 20 seconds. So the guys are slightly smaller and suited the rugby league players more.
I was surprised, just going back to the NFL and the size of the field. So the width of an NFL field is 47.5 metres.
Oh, yeah.
as opposed to ours 67.5.
Yes.
How many players on the field, NFL?
11.
Each side?
11
Yeah,
each
right.
side. Yeah, I did a lot of investigating. I asked a lot of people.
You have a curious mind.
I do have a curious mind. Now, speaking of curious minds, Matthew, Newcastle tonight up against the Raiders. Everyone's tipping the Knights. Are you as confident as my colleague here?
Oh, look, I'm confident. I'm a little nervous, Fletch.
Yeah.
Like, as you know, you've been coached by Ricky. This sort of game is a little bit like in his sweet spot. We said last year in the finals game up at Newcastle where no one gave Canberra a chance, and honestly, they nearly pulled it off. That sort of game was, suited Ricky, and I reckon this one does as well. I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous about it. Hopefully the boys can sort of pick up where they left off. I'm interested about Cogger starting on the bench. That surprised me. I thought they'd sort of bought in there to be a specialised 7. But, coming off the bench. So, interesting. They just want to get off to a good start. When they played them in the final series, Canberra sort of got off to a quick start. And it wasn't until the Jack Whiten incident that Newcastle really lifted. For a long while there, it looked like it was going to be a stinker of a day.
You know what? The reason I'm so confident of the Knights, they smashed them in the first 2 games on the edges. They couldn't handle Kalen, couldn't handle Marzu. But, Brian, the final, Trey Mooney got one against the grain off a dropout. There was one try where Gagai comes out, loses the ball, and Sheila
you're trying to
scores in the
convince
corner.
yourself here. I know what you're trying to do.
Sometimes you get off to a bad start, you get rattled, and all of a sudden you're sort of being hoodwinked. I think they're morals tonight. I think they're going to win these.
Well, Matthew, we spoke to your man, Barry Toohey, and I asked him, I said, the last time the Knights' best player dyed his hair, it ended in disaster.
Yeah. That's right.
You remember that at Brookvale?
Yeah. I do remember that. I did, and Kalen's, I see the blonde hair. Yeah. Yes. It's like, I wonder who was the first player. I tell you who it was. It was the great Martin Offia. I think was the first player to wear white boots after Graham Langlands.
Oh.
And then after that, sort of, the dam broke, and these days everyone wears coloured boots. But remember, for a long time after Chang in '75, it was like if anyone even had a boot with majority coloured, the first thing they talk about was Chang. But yeah, the blonde hair doesn't really it's a little bit there's a little bit of a hoodoo on that up at Newcastle. I suppose I'm a little bit nervous, boys, because if you look back through the Knights' history, we can be a little bit boom and bust. Sometimes we'll have great seasons, and there's been periods in our history where we've really strung 3 or 4 good seasons together, but there's been other times where we've had a great season, then the next year we've underachieved and whatnot. So we've just got to get off to a good start tonight and just settle the nerves.
I guarantee you, boys, you'll see this next year. The evolution of the boot, the black boot, moved to the white boot, moved to the coloured boot, moved to the fluoro boot. Now you're seeing a lot of the pink boot.
Yes.
I bet you we see this year, the only next stop is
Mixed.
The mixed boot.
Yeah.
Mixed boot.
Yeah, the mixed boot. You buy 2 pairs, left goes with the other right.
Yeah.
The mixed boot will be all the rage in 2024.
Oh, yeah, because that'd be good for tea leaves.
Yep.
Because remember in the old sports stores, they'd only put one boot out.
Yeah.
They'd only put the left boot out, and then you'd have to, so I reckon they might have to stop doing that.
That's right.
Kevin Juni still doing that? Is that little right? So you grab one left boot and you come back the next day, because no one would ever knock off one boot.
No way.
Well, now it's going to be mixed.
Yeah.
Going to be a mix of
Vlad coming at you.
mix of potatoes. Matthew, what's on the show tomorrow on the Morning Glory? What have we got going on?
We're going to do I think like most shows, we're going to do a bit of a Vegas wrap.
Yep.
Get the journo's perspective from Webby. It was funny. Cooper enlightened me to this. On that last night with Ludacris, I said to Coops, who are you hanging out with? And he said, Hamali Alikawatu, few of the Manly boys, and Buzz.
Yes.
I said, are you kidding me? I said, you're joking. He said, no. He said, me and Buzz we tied one on together.
Yeah.
I thought, mate, Buzz was just sick for it.
Yeah.
He was out and about. Actually, I spoke to Buzz. So Buzz, fair play to him, walked in, and he said, mate, you wouldn't believe it. Cody went straight for him, Cody Walker, and said, listen, mate, I really take exception of some of the things you've written about me. And he said, and Buzz said, mate, we had it out for about 15 minutes, and then we just stood there and drank together for about an hour and a half. That's one of the good things about the trip, I reckon.
Yep.
Bearsy, was the fact that all the media and the players and they were having a beer together.
Yep.
A lot of the ice melt.
Yeah, exactly. And Kenty handled it really well. Like he was
No grudges.
No grievances at all. He was quite convivial, I thought, to other members of the media fraternity. Now, Matthew, you're going to love this.
Yep.
Not many people know this, but Matthew is an animal lover.
Really?
Love animals.
Froths on dogs. We'll get this in here. Virgin Australia is set to become the first airline in the country to allow pets in cabins on domestic flights from next year. So, but you've got to but while the pets have to remain in the approved carriers for the flight, many pet owners will be relieved they no longer have to store their furry friends in the cargo of a plane. So you can have him and sit him on your lap, him or her. You can take, and it's not just dogs and cats, you can take rats.
Really?
Yep. There's a lot of rats become the new Chihuahua.
Wow.
Mate.
Matthew, would you be taking Charlie?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, Fletcher, it surprised me in the casinos. There are a number of dogs. In fact, one bloke walked through with 2 Rottweilers on chains through the casino. And I thought, surely they can't be comfort dogs.
No,
because that's what I want to do. I want to get in on a rort. I wanted to buy one of those comfort dogs things for Charlie, so I could take her in, into pubs that don't let dogs and things like that. Because I went down to my local. I said, I'll just walk her in. They won't, I drink there all the time. Surely they'll turn a blind eye. They said, mate, we're really sorry, we can't have Charlie in there. I said, why don't they? Some people don't like dogs and they get threatened. I said, mate, it's King Charles Cavalier.
Yeah. Beautiful looking dog, big eyes, very humanised. The Nelson Hotel at Bondi Junction, front bar, you can bring your dogs in.
Really?
Oh, I love that.
Bunnings?
I love that.
Domestic flights in the States, you can take a dog on air.
Absolutely.
But you know the story about the bloke, he passed away in Ireland, and every day he'd take the dog for a walk, and every day he'd stop at the pub, unbeknownst to the wife, for an hour. So when he'd passed away, the wife takes the dog for a walk, and when the dog goes past the pub, it immediately stopped because it would wait there at the door.
Outside.
And then the wife's desperately trying to drag the dog, and then one of the patrons had to say, listen, the reason he used to stop here... Sneaking away, yeah. Well,
if you go to Edinburgh, there's a statue of a dog on top of the hill, and the reason was there was a guy who was a soldier, and him and his dog, they were like...
Well, hang on.
Best friends.
Hang on, Matthew. Yeah. We've got it. Yeah. We've got someone from Edinburgh now. Tourists, jump in. Is Matthew telling the truth here?
Greyfriars Bobby.
Yes.
That's what it's called. And it's, there's a statue outside the grave. And after his master died, he laid down every single day on the grave until the day that the dog died.
They're smart, aren't
That's
they?
it.
They're smart, these dogs.
They're smart. And the other one, tourists, did you know, boys, like Edinburgh had a huge, like a university, as far as medical university, and all the students, what they used to do, they used to go and dig up fresh graves and pull corpses out and just do tests on them all the time. Hence, so they dig it up.
Just tests, Matthew, nothing else?
Just tests. Just tests.
Yeah, okay.
But what they would do, the term dead behind the ears comes from that, because what they used to do, they used to pull the corpses out of the graves by the ears, and the ones that were a little too old and rotting, of course, they pull the ears off. And to turn dead between the ears.
Oh, I think you say pull the ears off. Shout
out, Danny from Dog Dog.
I've got another one then, because this is right in my wheelhouse. What about in the 1700s? They were discovering in England as well.
This is Fact Thursday.
Yeah, they were discovering that people were getting buried alive. And what they did, they had to get what they decided to do. Said when they thought that someone was dead, they put someone in the coffin, but they put a little bit of string through the coffin. And if you woke up while you were in it, you would ring it, and up the top, that means dead ringer. That's where the saying.
Wow!
That's where the saying "dead ringer" came from. There'd be bloke sitting up on the top. He'd be up there for like 48 hours, and he'd just sit up there. And if you woke up in the coffin, you weren't brown.
Wow.
You would go push it. And ringer.
If you want to read a morbid book, because I read the history of the Black Plague once, just for laughs.
I thought you talked about Gordon's autobiography.
Anyway, the big rort during the Black Plague is the guys that were would get the corpses. It was one of the mate. They would have meant, because they would turn up just with wheelbarrows with corpses on top, and they might turn up to your place, Bearsy, and they'd say, mate, give us money, otherwise, people won't know. We'll just kill you and just chuck you on top of the pile. Pretty heavy stuff.
Pretty morbid. Pretty morbid. I've got a
Very
text here, Matty. So UD wants to know, gents, what's the go with TV US ratings? So 61,000 for game 1 and 40,000 for game 2. Surely someone is taking the PI55. Have you got the correct figures? They are the correct figures so far. So are you
They
surprised
left a
by
zero off. Yeah, they left a zero off, I think.
Are you surprised by that? I thought it was okay. I thought 100,000 is okay.
Yeah, you know what, Fletch? I sort of think that, I mean, it's a starting point, but I sort of think it was more about, to be honest, I think we get more promotion in Australia about doing it in Vegas. If you have a look at the ratings and the excitement it created here in New Zealand and England, I think that's what makes it worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, at the end of the day, we've always said it was just about making Americans aware that we are different to rugby union and making them aware of the rules. And that's the first step. So I just think it was fantastic success. I was watching Fox the other night, and there was some palooka from the AFL who laughed and said, "Oh yeah, I got American friends that were saying to other Americans, where were you when Manly beat Souths?" And I thought, yep, typical AFL.
Yeah.
Well, let's have a talk about when you guys went to China. I mean, they're still talking about the Suns versus Port Adelaide. What a game!
Hey, just on that though, and masterstroke from our man Valandis.
Yeah.
Masterstroke.
Yeah,
All
he's
the
amazing.
journos got over there, and I do agree with Matty. It's like going back to the '90s kangaroo tours, where all of a sudden journos become mates with the travelling companions, which are the
Yes.
players,
D. Ritchie.
the coaches, etc.
Yep.
I reckon the next coup, the next play, Matty, is get Melbourne, right? And Valandis and co. fly every big AFL journo over on the junket, right? You have dinner with the king. Like, how can they bag us? Like, and what that would do to the AFL, knowing that their prized icon journalists are all in the States watching rugby league.
But I think you're thinking how Sydney journos would act. They're a little bit different down south.
Would they decline?
Yeah.
You reckon they decline
I
a
don't-
trip?
No,
Yeah,
what they do, they'd say, yeah, I'll come over, and then just give it to us.
Yeah, they would. They all row. That's the thing over there. They just
Yeah.
row in the same directions. They're just. I don't want to say it. I just
No, you
got
can.
no time
You can.
for
Say
that
it.
code.
Say it.
It's just
Matthew,
grubs.
say it.
Because they only...
I had another thing in my mind. But,
Yeah.
I just that game. Just leave me out of
And a
it.
correction here too, boys. I was wrong. Not Dungog. Dunny Do for Brian Johnston. Dunny Do.
Brian Johnson.
That's where Huey Bowman.
Huey Bowman.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the great Craig Skyfleet.
Yep.
All right. Well, Matthew.
Yep.
I'll see you tonight. With the show's back on tonight.
Yep.
Mate, hands in the middle. Right, we're going to lift tonight, Fletch. We're feeling a little bit flat. I think the whole rugby league community is a little bit, but we're going to lift them. We're going to lift them high and dry.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going with that, but that's...
Another fun fact for you boys.
Yes.
yeah.
Paul McCartney,
Yes.
he said to Ringo, he said, pass me the pepper. He said, Sergeant Pepper. That's how they come up with the term Sergeant Pepper.
Why so?
Sorry, it was because
Well-
he'd misheard pass me the pepper.
Well,
he thought he'd
I've got
said
some-
Sergeant Pepper.
Okay.
Well, I got something. I can beat that.
Cool
right
story,
up.
Hansel.
Thanks, Olaf.
That's not very good.
Well, I can beat you there, Joel.
Yeah.
This is a true story. The name Donald Duck comes from the Walt Disney was a cricket fan and went to Headingley to watch Donald Bradman play, and he got a duck. And he came up with, swear to God,
He's
came up
standing
with
up
the
here.
term Donald Duck. And I want you to have a look at Donald Duck's middle name, and it's the same name. It's the brand that made the baggy green.
Wow.
Wow,
go.
Matthew. Where did you
That's
come?
one of the best Thursday
That is.
facts
Well,
with
you
that,
know,
Brian.
mate, there's an old saying, boys. There's three type of people in the world: the ones that are good at maths and the others.
I reckon you've read that in the back of a Brasco door.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Exactly
yeah,
right.
Yeah, old sea bass.
Yeah.
Kick his ass.
Yeah,
Well,
very good.
Matthew,
Touche.
I'll see you tonight, and good luck tomorrow. So, Webby's on tomorrow.
Webby's on tomorrow. Denon, of course, no Joey. He was fired, but and Benny Hogarth, and of course the Maestro. So yeah.
And what
Beautiful.
about Jacko Johns? Is he?
Yeah, Jacko will come on, sound advice, and Liam Alexander with Boys in the Hood for movie of the week
Oh,
tomorrow.
great! It was on the other night.
Great movie. Cuba Gooding Jr. How's he going, Cuba Gooding Jr.?
Yeah, he went a bit off the rails. He went
Yeah.
a bit off the rails. Not like our man. I was telling the boys, Matty, about and listener, get around Oscar De La Hoya's. I watched it on the plane. What
Golden
a
gloves.
far out he was
Man.
good.
Yeah.
Mate, it wasn't that. Just for a bloke that had such a dog's body, got to throw him.
Oh, couldn't he what? He had
Oh,
longer
God.
arms than everyone else.
Yeah, he was. He was like an Irish dasher.
He was.
Yeah.
All right, keep the ears on, and I'll see you tonight.
Yep.
I'll tear of the ears.
Right.
Righto,
boys.
mate.
Righto, Danny. See you, boys.
Morning Glory back tomorrow morning from 9 o'clock daylight savings time, or catch the show on the Morning Glory podcast. Plenty more still to come.